Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I sat with Iboga and Troy and Joe and Blue, their precious, what did they call it? he's a shaman doggy, but it is psychospiritual support, something like that. This past June 2024. It's gonna be a little bit of a challenge for me to put into words the impact that Troy and Joe have made on my life, because they have really been paradigm shifting for me in so many ways. But to paint the picture, I first came to the table with Iboga. It entered my awareness last June 2023. I had just returned home from a Soma, an isolation dieta in Peru, and I was trying to make sense of all the happenings that went on there. And I was starting to have these dreams, which in hindsight were very Iboga-y. They were, I'm gonna leave it at that. And I knew that there was a connection within Iboga within that dream, because I had a friend of mine within those dreams, and she has been initiated by the Bwiti, as well as she's served Iboga before too. And so I reached out to her, and she recommended that I reach out to Troy. I didn't. I was not ready. I had just done this whole dieta with ayahuasca, and I wasn't ready to do more plant medicine, and I was also afraid of Iboga. I'd heard it has, which I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, it has this reputation in the plant medicine world as being like the big scary psychedelic. So I wasn't ready, and it wasn't until a couple of months later I was catching up with a friend, kind of sharing my experience, because also after that dream I was getting these really intense somatic responses to thinking about Iboga, or even just researching Iboga. That was just like a little bit concerning for me. And so she was catching me up on her life and was saying she was seeing this really great integration therapist coach who also works with Iboga. And I was like, oh, cool. What's his name? Troy. And I was like, Troy Valencia? Yeah. And so I realized, okay, that's my second nod from universe. I think I need to reach out to and do some research and look up these people. So I did, and this began my journey with Root and Wisdom and Troy and Joe and Iboga on this next level. And paradigm shifting is the word that keeps on coming up. Just the way that they prioritize service over everything within their business, within their relationship with the medicine, really opened my eyes. The integrity that they walk within their line of work is of nothing I've really witnessed before. I mean, the fact that, so we have this initiation call, and between that and when I really decided that it was time to sign up, I had learned about the extent of my husband's addiction to a drink that had the substance of kratom in it. And with that addiction came a lot of debt. And so it was a barrier to entry for us. I was like, I don't know if we can afford this right now. And Troy and Joe really made it very clear that they would do whatever it took to make this medicine, which they knew would be very helpful for myself and my husband, who sat in ceremony with me, as accessible as possible. And why that was such a game changer for me is I'm an acupuncturist, an herbalist. I do medical qigong, which is a form of energy work. And just being in this world, especially where I live, the emphasis is a bit more on money rather than service, of, getting what getting their money's worth out of the experience, as well as for the practitioner, as well as the receiver. And there's just like this really big emphasis on money, whereas that wasn't the priority for Troy and Joe. Their priority was being of the utmost service, and it changed a lot for me. There's a lot more I could say about that, but I'll leave it at that. It really shifted my entire perspective on my relationship with money in this world. And I'm really, really grateful for that. So just right off the bat, I was learning lessons from them. And then the fact that they provided we had 2 calls before officially signing up. We had, before ceremony, we had a workbook, we had a therapy session, we had a breathwork session. Post ceremony, we had integration sessions, and they've really been holding our hands within this process of integrated living. Is like nothing I've ever experienced before in the plant medicine world. I laugh because I've done, I've tried quite a few plant medicines, and it's very much been like, let's unscrew the cap of your brain, let's bust open your crown, let's completely shift the way you see the world entirely, and have fun, goodbye, good luck. And that's not how they do things. They know. I love that Troy says, I don't give a shit what happens in ceremony. What I care about is how you live your life. And before, I really put an emphasis on what happened in ceremony. And I also knew that integration was very important, but I've been such a baby in the world of plant medicine. It's only been 4 years since my very first ceremony. And so they've taught me so much on what integrated living really means. And I am, again, check the box, endlessly grateful for that lesson as well. Within ceremony itself, so as I mentioned earlier, I was very afraid. I have seen myself as somebody who's very sensitive to substances. I've had my first experiences with ayahuasca were quite honestly very scary for me. It felt like too much too soon. And they really placed the emphasis on safety within the nervous system in terms of receiving the medicine. So their priority is not to blast you off. There's no ego in them trying to make the most profound experience possible. They believe that enough is enough. Like if you are feeling it at a specific dose and they titrate the dose, they don't give it all at once, then it's enough. And I don't know if I'm making complete sense with that one, but I really deeply appreciated that because it just gave me so much safety. I trust these people with my life, and I did trust them with my life, and I'm really glad I did. And so my experience with Iboga, it was an Iboga experience, but I felt very safe the whole time. And they were right with me the whole way through, as they have been in the beginning and the end of the experience, or the other side rather, of the experience. And I think that if I had done it with anyone else, well, I know I wouldn't be where I'm at now, because while they were holding my hand within ceremony, they also took the time to hang out after ceremony to talk about concepts and to teach me about their way of living, which, as I mentioned before, completely has changed my relationship with my husband, my marriage. It's changed my relationship with myself and how I interact in the world. So that is my long-winded way of saying thank you to Troy, to Joe, to Blue, Iboga. Thank you so much for this. It's felt like a new chance at life. And I am in love with, as an herbalist, I am in love with how Iboga works with the brain. And I am so excited to learn more from this plant, whether that's through ingesting or just sitting with it or doing my little, my research on my computer. And if you are considering working with Iboga, if you are here because you are interested in learning more about Troy and Joe, I would say run, don't walk. I mean, go at your pace, but know that these people are safe. They live in the utmost integrity. They walk the walk. They walk the talk as well. They don't just preach a bunch of spiritual mumbo jumbo. They are so grounded, and they are living it. So I love you guys. Thank you. And thank you for listening.